Alright, price action recap. As you can see, I got quite a bit for you guys here. This is going to be the week of July 19th to July 24th. I'm pretty sure, yeah, July 24th. Okay, so give me a second to pull up a image that I'm supposed to show you guys first. Okay. Let me put this into the screen for you guys. Quick. Okay. So, understanding the previous week's price action is, pretty important for understanding what this week is going to do. Okay, so main thing I'm looking at is, what kinds of draws on liquidity we tapped, and whether or not we completed an AMD cycle last night, which is pretty much always going to be happening. Okay, so as you can see, we had our accumulation, manipulation, distribution, manipulation tapped 1 hour order block, swept liquidity, we distribute all the way down to the monthly fair value gap. We create what I thought was a low of the month, which, if you're watching this on Friday, it is not low of the month, unfortunately. I was wrong, but, it was pretty prominent low. Okay. We tapped the monthly fair value gap along with the monthly low. And we had the 1 hour break of structure, which is why I thought that we had the low of the month. Okay. And also we had the accumulation, manipulation, distribution, which did manipulate to this low. So it was pretty much confirmed that this low would not be tapped for a very, very long time, which, as you can see, didn't get tapped for like pretty much, 2 weeks. Okay. So, yeah, I was not expecting this to get tapped. Get swept again, but this is the previous week's price action, so obviously we would probably want to be bearish. Okay. So let me get rid of this now. Alright, let's start from Sunday. On Sunday and Monday, we just accumulated a lot. Okay. We could have placed our standard deviation here, took this trade. I forgot to change the color of this trade to blue because this is not a trade I would have taken. But this could have been something good to take. Alright, standard deviation, very last manipulation leg before the trend up, which is basically this one, or it could be this one as well. Not quite sure, but yeah, kind of got raped. So if you took that leg, wouldn't be a very good idea. We had built up all this liquidity here for us to be sweeping for Tuesday, and basically the AMD here, if you even caught it, would be this 30-minute order block over here to the left. Tap the CE of it and max expansion. You would have taken this 5-minute order block. Okay. And as you can see here, we had this wickless candle right here, so you could have anticipated that as well. And yeah, we ended up closing a bit low. So yeah, that is Monday's price action. For Tuesday, we have to look at what we did, on Monday too. So on Tuesday, we swept out all of these, low resistance liquidity, basically all of this low resistance liquidity. We didn't tap into an order block, I think, or I forgot to mark it out or something. I don't know. I'm pretty sure there was an order block though. Was it? Hold on, let me check. Yeah, okay. No order block, but we did tap this fair value gap, and fair value gap is also balanced price range. So valid PD array, tap the CEO of it. What do we do after? We create the 15-minute order block that you could have taken inside of OTE, and you could have gotten an even more precise entry if you were to enter off of the 0.88, which aligned better with the CE of the OB. Okay. And we also had, in the dump for Monday, built up all this low resistance liquidity here. As you can see, high, 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 high. You get it, right? Took all that out. You could have caught in the entire 500-point trade, but prop firms don't allow that. And even if you were on a live account, you have to be aware because it's a no news week, so you wouldn't be, trying to catch these home run 500-point trades. You shouldn't be anyways, honestly, but yeah. Okay, so let me put that back down. Alright, could have just caught those equal highs right there. Okay, and then as we, sweep out all this liquidity, create another accumulation range. And, I wasn't anticipating for us to dump after this, but, we did anyways. After tapping, sweeping out this liquidity, tapping 30-minute order block. All this price action is pretty choppy, so I wouldn't rely on it that much. But then again, we still tapped on it, and okay, hold on. Go back to the 5-minute time frame. Okay. Then on Tuesday, okay, again this is still Tuesday because it's just an open on Monday. Okay, so Tuesday we open and we pump up. Took this trade here if you would have, and as you can see here we have our accumulation range during London and some during pre-market in New York AM. Okay, and you could have caught this manipulation on a 1-minute leg. Okay, now I annotated this right here. I used a 1-minute leg because it aligned with OTE, and a 30-minute OB better than any other one. Okay, so 1-minute leg here. Now you might be confused, why'd you mark it out here? Well, that's because, as you can see, it did create a lower low. So this would just be a leg that isn't as, obvious, but it's still the valid leg because, well, it still created that lower low, which initiated this higher high. Okay, and after that we have the 30-minute order block, which I annotated here. We tap it inside of OTE, which OTE at the time was, let's see, aligned perfectly at 0.709. So honestly, this would have been a easy limit to slap on here, in my opinion. Okay, 10-point stop, or even 50 points if you want to do that. And you could just target that. Easy 15 RR. Alright. Obviously, this is probably a trade you would not think to take, but it's still a valid trade, okay? You could have taken this 5-minute rejection block here, CE of it, tap that, whatever entry you want, okay? So, after that, Tuesday, we had a pretty choppy close, and then on the opening of Wednesday's day, okay, we just started dumping during Asia and London session, okay? But then during London session, we started our actual reliable accumulation range, okay? Now the reason I didn't use this accumulation range, which I annotated here, was because it was just a straight downtrend, right? It didn't really have any, fair value gaps being created, so I already know that, okay, this is probably not a good area to trade. But it did leave a lot of this liquidity right here, which can be marked out with this curved line right here, okay? And then before New York opens, you would have had this leg right here, which it tapped into a PD array. I know it did, yeah. This 30-minute last fair value gap. And we created this gigantic rejection block here, okay? And I was hoping for price to retrace back into the CE of this rejection block, but unfortunately it did not. Price didn't retrace, swept liquidity, created the protected low. Unfortunately, no entry on any single time frame for me, which is okay. All right, you're not going to get an entry every single day. Some days are going to be worse than others. Fair enough. Okay. Now, after New York AM closes here, right, we kind of just pump up a bunch, but we did leave this tiny accumulation range that we could trade off of, okay? And we had 1 hour equal highs here, so I was like, okay, we're obviously going to be wanting to be sweeping this first, even though shorts were obvious. But again, 1 hour equal highs right there. Our leg would be this 5-minute leg right here. Could mark it like this, like this. I like marking out like this because it aligned with this, with these highs better, which told me that, okay, probably going to create SMT here, and as you can see we did. SMT with ES, had the double SMT, we had the 5-minute order block, and I personally took a 3-minute entry here, but if you take the 5-minute order block, you would have gotten in easily, such a good entry, 0.705, literally 0 drawdown if you took that, okay, and I would have rode it until the devil's mark right here. So good trade right there. For the rest of the day, we kind of just chop around. Not really good entry here. Thursday was kind of dog shit, if I'm being honest. And yeah, so this would have been the only good trade here. Could have caught high of day, right? What else for this day? I had this leg right here. It kind of played out just a little bit, right? Because as you can see, we had our accumulation range. We had, you know, we had the liquidity sweep, tap into an order block, but again, didn't distribute very well. We just tapped these relative equal highs here. We didn't even tap the top of the accumulation range, so, you know, if you would have caught an entry, let's say on this 5-minute rejection block, then good for you, right? Personally, not a trade I would take, but still, okay? And then for the rest of Thursday, we kind of just jump back down. Don't really have a good AMD to trade off of, alright? So, yeah, let's skip back. Actually, no, I want to go over this first, okay? So, we had this downtrend right here, left a lot of liquidity, right? And fortunately for us, this left a standard deviation leg for us to use. I personally used a 3-minute leg because it aligned with these highs better, and it aligned with the 5-minute order block better, okay? And after I saw it rejected this, created the protected high right here, right? Created the protected high. When it opened, I expected price to come back into OTE, right? Into OTE. On the 15-minute, OTE aligned with 0.705 pretty much perfectly with the 15-minute order block. So with this, could have gotten easily another 0 drawdown entry to this wickless candle right here, right? So again, 237 points right here. We had another accumulation, manipulation, distribution, this time into a 15-minute order block with the liquidity sweep right here. And this would be even more likely since we swept the wickless candle on the 5-minute, which means that we just took out a lot of liquidity. And, you know, it took a while for price to retrace back up. But we had the 15-minute OB, another 15-minute OB, and right here, I personally just set a limit right there, convinced me enough, and I just targeted the accumulation highs, alright? And for New York AM session, I had this high right here. Hold on. Did I have this high? Okay. So, we did have an AMD, even though it looks like we didn't, because ES did distribute to this high, marked out by this SMT right here. Okay, I'm pretty sure you guys literally just saw it, probably marked it out. But again, we had the AMD, accumulation, manipulation, distribution, right? Fortunately, NQ got stopped by the SMT on ES, which is okay. But I had this leg right here, which did deliver. I didn't mark out any confluences because, honestly, too lazy to do that. Don't want to scroll all the way back on the 5-minute time frame to back to like fucking 2008. But again, chill on me, alright? So, yeah, we distributed AMD, at least on ES, and personally there were no trades for me during New York AM, which is okay, alright? So, yeah, that's going to be the price action recap. for last week. I'm sorry this came a bit late. I had stuff to do. But yeah,